Hey everybody, this is Willow, and I'm working to help people to wake up. What I want to talk about today is I want to talk a few minutes to those people who are at the end of their rope. They feel like life is over for them and they're just ready to just end it all. What I want to say to you is I've been where you're at many, many times. I've been where you're at and I've made it through, and I just want to tell you that it's not the way. It's not the way. It's important that you understand that if you take your life, you don't die. Even if you end it all, you're still going to be alive because the spirit within you lives forever. So it's still going to be alive, and you're still going to have the same thoughts, the same personality, the same consciousness level that you had before you left. So that's not the answer. That's not the answer. That's not the way out. There is a way to get through this, and that's why I'm making this video. First of all, I want to start out by saying that I think everybody knows that we're making a shift. We're going through a tremendous shift on planet Earth right now. And the Earth is moving from the third dimension into the fifth dimension. From all the negativity and all the darkness into the light, where there's love, peace, and harmony. That's the goal, that we live here on Earth, turn it into heaven on Earth, and live here in love, peace, and harmony. That's the goal. We return to source, return back to God. But because the planet Earth is making this shift from the third dimension into the fifth dimension, that means that we can't take the third dimension with us. The third dimension is what we've been living in all our life, and it's the only world that we know. That world is collapsing. The third dimension is collapsing. It's got to go because it can't go with us. And I think we're like overlapping now. We're like the fifth dimension is kind of overlapping, and we're almost halfway there. And so that means that there's more of the third dimension that's collapsing. Now, a lot of people haven't experienced any loss in their life. I personally don't know anybody that hasn't experienced any loss, because eventually everybody's going to have to experience loss, because everybody's world, 3D world, has got to collapse. So it's really dependent on where you're at vibrationally and spiritually. It depends on how awakened you are. It depends on what level you're vibrating at as to how severe your loss is going to be at this time. But eventually everybody is going to go through this 3D collapse, and everybody's going to start losing everything in their life that is not in alignment with the fifth dimension, which pretty much covers everything, because there's pretty much nothing in third dimension that is in alignment with love, light, peace, joy, and harmony. All that has to go. So when things start collapsing and the energies, the new 5D energies start continuing, or they're pouring into the planet right now from the sun, but as they continue to come into the planet, they're going to increase in intensity. And as the energies increase, then the more we're going to be affected physically, mentally, and emotionally. The more we're going to feel the intensity of the energy, and the more we're going to start experiencing the collapse of our 3D world. And yes, it is going to be the end of your world as you know it. It's not going to be the end of your life, and the world's not going to just come to an end and blow up and explode. We're still going to be here. We're still going to be here in the same place, on the same planet, but we're going to be immersed into a higher, newer dimension of life. The fifth dimension. We're moving from the third into the fifth. So as the third continues to collapse from underneath us, we're going to experience loss. And that's why I'm getting to this point. You're not the only one who is experiencing loss. It's happening to everybody. Some on a greater scale than others. Like I said, depending on where you're vibrating at. and what frequency you're at. Everybody's experiencing loss. So you're not the only one who has lost a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a child, a friend, a grandparent. Everybody is losing members of their family through death. There are a lot more deaths right now because a lot of people are leaving the planet. They've chosen not to ascend with the planet, so they're leaving the planet. So you're not the only one who's experiencing loss through death. You're not the only one who is losing their job. You're not the only one who's losing your home. You're not the only one who's losing your health and getting sick from all kind of strange diseases, cancers, and heart attacks, and diabetes, and all these. You're not the only one who's getting sick and losing your health. And you're not the only one who's losing your mind. You're not the only one who's going through emotional and mental and physical turmoil. You're not the only one. It's not just you. Just look around you. Everybody's going through something. Everybody might not be going through the same thing that you're going through at this time, but they're going through their own stuff. Why? Because this shift is happening to everybody. Everybody's being affected by it. Now, again, like I said, it's going to depend on if you're spiritually awakened, and if you are, what level you're at, and what level you're vibrating at, as to the symptoms you're going to determine the symptoms that you're going to have and the severity of them. What's happening in your life as far as how much you're going to lose at this point. It all depends on what level you're at and how you're wired. Another thing, this shift is also rewiring our entire bodies. Our brains are being rewired. Our dormant strands of DNA are being reconnected, and we're coming back online. Our physical body is changing. We're going to have a whole different physical body. We have to, because we can't live in the light. We can't live in the fifth dimension where there's nothing but light until our bodies are transformed in order to hold that light and to function in the light. We're going to be functioning in love, light, peace, and harmony. This is where we're going to create the millennial reign and heaven on earth. It's happening, folks. This is what's happening. And this is why I'm doing these videos, and why all the other people out there are doing their spiritual videos to try to help people understand what's happening. And this is a very, very emotional subject for me to discuss, because I lost my brother a couple of years ago to suicide, and I know that he was experiencing awakening symptoms, and he didn't know what was wrong with him. He didn't know it. I knew that he was experiencing awakening symptoms. He was confused. He was lost. He was mentally confused, emotionally. All the emotions from the past was coming up. Everything was coming up. He didn't know how to clear out his energy center so the energy could move through his body. That's why I'm doing these videos, and that's why everybody else on the spiritual path is doing videos, because they're trying to help people. But I'm not going to talk much longer, but I just want to say to those of you who feel like it's the end of your world and who feel like you want to end it all, please, please, that's not the way. It's not the way. Go inside your heart. Go inside your heart. That's where you're going to find God. Go inside your heart. Sit down in your heart and listen to God. You don't have to talk to God. He already knows your problems. He already knows what you need. Just go in and listen to him. And just listen and just listen and just listen until you hear God speak. And when you hear God speak, then you've got it made, because you're going to know what to do the next time you get to this point. It's all about the heart. It's all about getting centered in the heart. It's all about living and loving and being from the heart of God. And that's all I got to say. I love you guys, and thanks for watching. Bye.